I just got rejected, and that sucks. But let's talk about how to navigate it and how to deal with it. Are you tired of the endless stream of fantasy marketing and vanity metrics? Yeah, so am I. My name is James Patrick, and I'm an internationally published photographer, media specialist, and marketing strategist. I'm also a student of professional development, and like you, I've been left frustrated by all of this influencer-driven generic advice, making us think that we are just one course, conference, or manifestation away from the life of our dreams. We need to cut through this crap and move beyond the posturing, beyond the facade, beyond the image, to take real action on the real work that will create the real results. This is the Beyond the Image podcast. What is going on? And thank you so much for tuning in to this, our latest episode of the Beyond the Image podcast. Truly honored that you could take some time to get a little information and get a little inspiration, help you in your entrepreneurial journey. So, as I kind of led off at the top of the show, I recently got rejected. Want to dive into that. But before I do that, I think it's kind of important to set the tone and really set the cadence of why I felt it was important to share this experience. If all I am doing is espousing advice from the victories or the wins or the successes that I've had, you're only getting a snapshot or a portion of the entire picture. I think it's equally as important to talk about the things that I, as a host, but as also a coach, are going through that has not worked, that I'm still trying to navigate, that I'm still trying to figure out, and what I'm learning in that process. So, as part of my outbound business development and marketing strategy, I submit to a bevy of different events that I want to speak at. This harkens back to my marketing principles of be seen, be heard, be read. If you want to develop your business, if you want to onboard more clients, if you want to generate more leads, getting in front of your target audience where they currently are is the most effective way to do so. This is why I'm such a proponent of earned media, like my event, Get Published Live, which gets you in front of your target audience, be it magazines, podcasts, digital media platforms, TV, but also speaking on stages. So speaking on stages is something we talk a lot about at Get Published Live, which, by the way, this is the last week of pre-sale for Get Published Live, so you can get in for an investment that will never be this low again. If you attend in person, you get to do a photo shoot with myself. We will create your demo reel. We'll help you create your pitch packets, all your imagery, everything to help you stand out when you are pitching to media outlets. Or you could attend virtually, which means you just get to do the casting call process. And we've partnered with dozens of magazines, podcasts, TV, and digital media outlets to give you the opportunity to get published and get featured. Okay, so as I mentioned, as part of my outbound marketing, I submit to various publications, various podcasts, but also various conferences that I want to speak at. Now, when we are targeting conferences, we're targeting conferences that my audience, the demographic of audience that I'm trying to reach, is attending. So one of the conferences is a conference. We're just going to call it Idea World because it's actually called Idea World. I won't actually disguise that. Now, I had pitched to present at Idea World for several years in a row without really any success. But then in 2020, I actually had success. We created a strategic partnership between my conference and Idea World. And part of that was me being able to speak at the Idea World conference. Now, it was a virtual conference in 2020, but nonetheless, I got to present as an Idea World presenter. And the presentation went outstanding. It went so well. It did so good. And I know this because they actually survey all the people who attended my session, and my session was ranked very high. We had a large number of people attend the session because I can see the number of people attend the session, and it was graded and voted very well by the attendees. However, I've not had luck getting back on the Idea World stage. I submitted the year after with the same presentation, the same packet, just an expanded breadth of information that I want to present on stage, and it was turned down. And I was surprised by that. So I followed up to say, well, I'm curious what led to this application not being accepted, understanding that the previous year went so well. And the response was, well, we filmed your presentation. People can buy it from our website. Um, and thus, we don't need you to present the same presentation anymore. So next time you present, pitch something different. And that was the advice and the input I got. So 2 years go by and we decide to submit again. In fact, we did multiple submissions, all various topics that we felt were important for the audience. And this is something I've teached a lot and espoused a lot, which is when you're pitching yourself, it's not, here's what I want you to do for me. Like it's very clear that I want to be on that stage to help bring new leads and bring new awareness into my ecosystem and into my business. But the pitch is all about what we need to do for the audience. This is what the audience is going to get. This is the takeaway, or these are the core components or the major milestones that we want the attendees of these sessions to be able to walk away with. These are the tools that we want to equip the audience members to be able to have that they did not have prior to attending these sessions. This is how we prepare our submissions. And we ended up submitting multiple topics that I could present on for the audience that we felt were of high relevance and high value to the audience. But unfortunately, once again, we received a rejection letter. So we followed the initial advice, which was we want different topics from you. And we submitted different topics, but yet we received another round of rejection. So the thing I noticed was that the rejection came from a different person. So it seems there's a different decision maker choosing who's speaking on stage versus who's not speaking on stage. But the response to the rejection was to once again try to implore and inquire, what could we have done better? What in the submission could have made this application more relevant to your audience, more impactful to your audience, of greater resonance, to help you create a very successful event? And I did mention that in the past, we have partnered with your conference. And here's some examples of the success we were able to achieve through that partnership. But after a couple weeks, there was no reply, which leads me to believe that the decision to not select me had little to nothing to do with the presentation I pitched. Because if someone's asking or soliciting feedback, what can I do to better position? And the original person who we had a relationship with gave us direction. We need different topics from you. Okay, we'll take that into account. Let's submit different topics. And then we receive a rejection from a new person. And when we inquire with this person, there is no response. So it unfortunately leads me to believe that there's nothing we could have done different or better in our application, but that for reasons we do not know and we can only estimate, we were passed up for this. And reasons we don't know, perhaps this director of education has relationships with other speakers that she wants to see on stage more than people she's not familiar with. Okay. Perhaps there are inner politics. Perhaps people are paying to be on stage. I don't know. I'm estimating. But for whatever reason, our application was turned down. So when you are in situations like this, the response is professional, it's polite, but you can learn something through the inquiry. What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? What this does is this shows to whoever you're submitting to, for better or worse, that you were invested in that submission, that you care about showing up for them and their audience. And it puts the play into their court. They have to decide what they can do next. Do they want to give you feedback to create a potential relationship or to create a working connection with you? Or in this situation, do they want to just ignore it for whatever reason and move on with whatever their plan or their approach was. But at least you've put forth the best effort you can in your submission, but also in your follow-up. So hopefully that gave you a little bit more glimpse into the world of pitching, being accepted by pitches, but also what happens and how to navigate those rejections. I appreciate you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all your reviews on the Apple Podcast app, and we will talk to you all in the next episode. Take care.